What if I told you that one of the world's most intelligent apes was nearly wiped out not by hunters, but by a wall of fire that consumed its entire world? Picture an ancient, emerald world. A canopy so thick it blocks out the sun. Here in the rainforests of Borneo lives the orangutan, the person of the forest. For millennia, these red apes swung through the treetops, built nests each night, and passed knowledge from mother to child. They were kings of a green kingdom, but in just a few decades, that kingdom began to burn. It started quietly. A haze on the horizon, the smell of smoke where there should only be rain. Then the fires came not as random acts of nature, but as tools. Slash-and-burn agriculture, lit to clear land for palm oil and pulpwood plantations, began escaping control. Draining of peatlands, swampy forests that store massive amounts of carbon made the soil itself flammable. What followed was an ecological nightmare. By the late 1990s, the fires weren't just seasonal. They were catastrophic. El Niño years brought droughts, turning the rainforest into a tinderbox. In 1997, fires burned out of control for months. An estimated 8 million hectares of forest vanished in smoke. The sky turned orange. The air became toxic. And in the middle of it all, the orangutans had nowhere to run. These are animals that live almost entirely in the trees. When fire consumes the forest, their homes, their food sources, their escape routes, everything disappears. Orangutans are slow-moving, deliberate creatures. They don't flee like deer or hide underground. When the flames came, many simply clung to the burning trees. Rescue teams began finding them stranded in isolated patches of forest, surrounded by charred earth. Orangutans were discovered with singed fur, burned hands and feet, suffering from smoke inhalation and starvation. Mothers sometimes died still clutching their infants. The ones that survived often wandered into villages, desperate and disoriented, where they were sometimes killed as pests. But in the midst of the ashes, something remarkable began to happen. A network of local heroes, international volunteers, and conservation organizations mobilized into what became one of the largest primate rescue operations in history. They called it the Orangutan Fire Brigade. The first challenge was just getting to the animals. Teams navigated through hazardous smoke and active fire fronts, often on foot or by boat. When they found an orangutan, terrified, dehydrated, sometimes injured, the real work began. Tranquilizing an animal high in a burning tree required incredible precision. A missed shot could mean the orangutan fell to its death. A delayed reaction could mean the fire overtook them both. Once safely sedated and lowered to the ground, each orangutan was given emergency medical care. Burns were treated, they were rehydrated, they were fed. But survival was only the first step. These were wild animals that needed a wild home, and their homes were gone. That's when the second phase began, rehabilitation. Rescue centers like Nyarumenteng and Sepilok became temporary sanctuaries for hundreds of displaced orangutans. Here they learned to be wild again. Infants, many of them orphans, were taught by human surrogate mothers how to climb, what to eat, how to build a nest. It was painstaking, emotional work. Each animal had a name. Each had a story, but the goal was always the same: to return them to the forest. The problem was which forest? Fires had fragmented their habitat into islands. Reintroduction sites had to be carefully chosen, protected, fertile, and far from human conflict. When a group of orangutans was finally ready, they were transported deep into safe forests and released. The moment the crate doors opened was always tense. Some hesitated, some bolted. But when they finally climbed back into the trees, when they tasted wild fruit again, when they built their first nest in a real forest, it felt like a victory against the flames, yet the fires kept coming. 2006. 2015, 2019, each major fire season brought a new wave of refugees. The rescue-rehab release cycle continued, but it was like bailing water from a sinking ship. The root of the problem, deforestation for agriculture, was still spreading. Satellite imagery showed Borneo rainforest shrinking year after year. The orangutan population plummeted by more than half in just a few decades. But then, a shift began. International attention grew. Camera footage of burned orangutans and heroic rescues went viral. Consumers started asking questions about palm oil. Pressure mounted on companies to adopt zero deforestation policies. On the ground, conservation groups began working with local communities to develop sustainable livelihoods that didn't rely on burning forest. They trained and employed former loggers as forest guardians. They installed firefighting towers and early warning systems. It's an ongoing battle. The fires haven't stopped. The orangutan is still critically endangered, but the relentless pace of destruction has slowed in some key areas. Reforestation projects are healing patches of burned land. There are pockets of forest where orangutans are breeding again, where the canopy is thickening, where hope is quietly growing back. The story of the Bornean orangutan and the fires is not over. It's a race between destruction and redemption. These apes showed us the terrifying cost of our choices, but they also showed us our capacity for compassion, for courage, for change. When we see an orangutan being carried from the smoke, when we watch it take its first steps back into the green, we're witnessing more than a rescue. We're seeing a reflection of our own humanity and the future we still have time to choose. Which animal rescue story moved you the most? Share it in the comments. Your suggestion could become our next video. Subscribe to Rare Species to stay connected to the front lines of wildlife survival.